Chinese in this, so it is the Russians. It's a Russian craft called the Russian Soyuz. It's a crew carrier. We've been using it for years and years. Of course, when we were grounded with the shuttle missions after the Columbia disaster, we used strictly the Russian Soyuz at that time too, to get our crews to and from the space station. The Russian Soyuz is the only spacecraft at this point that can carry humans to and from the space station. So there's others, commercial vehicles that are coming online. They're going to be ready maybe around 2015 or so. And so until then, we will still be using the Russian Soyuz. We're real glad that that's available, because that's the only game in town right now. I heard somebody else say me over here when I asked about questions. Who is that? Yes, sir. Look at you.
I'm going to be an astronaut when I grow up.
Yes, sir. You can do it. How old are you now? How long before you're grown up? You're 3 years old? I bet you grew up fast. Yes, sir. You can definitely be an astronaut. And I want you to come back here and I want you to tell us about your trips, okay, into space. Deal? You betcha. Anybody else? No?
Do you have a height requirement?
Oh, yeah, what's the height requirement to be an astronaut? Right now, 6'4". Can't be taller than 6'4". That's pretty tall, though. They used to be much more restrictive than that, but they've realized that people come in different sizes. So now the spacecraft are built to handle taller and shorter, even astronauts. I'm trying to think what the small end is. I think it's 4 foot. I can't remember if it's 4'9" or 4'11". But that's on the short end. But yeah, you can be pretty tall. There was a guy here the other day, though. He was really disappointed. He said, "I'm 6'5". Sorry, drank too much milk. All right, here he is. We're so glad to see you.
Sorry I'm late.
Okay.
Hi, everybody. Question, how many are here for the first time? Wow, okay. Good. You having fun so far? Yeah. This is really a special place. It's where, if you're involved in human space exploration, the Johnson Space Center is kind of the heart of all of that. So things that happen in space get planned here, trained for here, and then executed with the team. But it's really a neat place. For the folks who brought children here, thank you for doing that, taking the time to do that. You never know when you bring a child, a student to an educational event like this. You never know what's going to ring their bell and maybe change their life in the future. So thank you for doing that, for bringing them and exposing them to this. Because space exploration is really something. It's kind of loved by children, old, young and old, even old folks like me who really enjoy it. And I love talking about it. I wish we had more time than I'm going to have today because it's kind of my passion to go do that. So I'd like to share a few things about living in space and being in space and getting to space, getting home, that sort of stuff with you. And I put this first slide up there. And while the space shuttle program has been completed, looking backward, we're looking forward for the next program. The next program is going to be to leave Earth and be able to have a view like this. So some of the, our goal is for some of the students that are here to be able to take a picture just like that. That picture was taken in 1972 when the last astronauts were coming back from the moon. Since that time, we've been in low Earth orbit. We haven't been out of low Earth orbit. So we've been on the order of about 200 miles above the surface of the Earth in space. We're up there right now at the International Space Station, which was one of my last mission. It was to help build the space station. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. So when you look at that picture there, what do you see? Yeah, so people always say that they see the ships. This picture was taken in March of 1992, and we were celebrating the 500th anniversary of Columbus discovering the New World, and these 3 replica ships came sailing past Launch Pad 39A here with the space shuttle Atlantis in the background. So the day after this picture was taken, I was launching my first flight on that vehicle right there. And when I look at the picture, what I see is 500 years of transportation technology development. So if you were going to cross the Atlantic Ocean 500 years ago, that's how you did it. And it would take, who knows how long, weeks, days, months, depending on the weather and the winds and how far you're going to get there. The next day, I crossed the Atlantic in 8 minutes, going the other direction. And that was from starting from a dead stop. So 500 years from now, how are the people going to be traveling? You can only imagine that folks back in that time frame had no idea that this could happen. So who knows how what's going to happen. There'll probably be somebody standing on a stage like this with a picture in the background, and there'll be maybe a picture of a space shuttle, and there'll be some other transportation system there, a more modern one. And that person's going to say, point to the picture and say, can you believe it used to take them 8 minutes to cross the Atlantic Ocean? So, but let me just, we get asked a lot about how do you become an astronaut, or what's it take to become an astronaut. I like to use my last crew, the STS-92 crew, as an example. So just to give you an idea of the types of people that are in the astronaut office and the educational background, where they're from. Starting in the top left, Dr. Leroy Chow. Leroy's from the San Francisco area, Bay Area of California. And Leroy has an undergraduate and PhD in chemical engineering from the University of California system. So he's a smart guy. Mike Lopez de Alegría, born in Madrid, Spain, and graduate of the United States Naval Academy. Navy pilot with aerospace engineering, and he's got a master's degree from the Naval Postgraduate School in Monterey, California. Bill MacArthur's from North Carolina. Bill's a West Point graduate, undergrad, and a master's degree from in aero engineering from Georgia Tech. World's smartest man right there. My nominee anyhow. Dr. Jeff Weissoff. Jeff's from Virginia Beach, Virginia. And he went to the University of Virginia, majored in physics. And he has a PhD in laser physics from Stanford. Dr. Koichi Wakata. Koichi's from Japan. We were truly an international crew going to build the International Space Station. And Koichi's had an undergraduate and PhD in aeronautical engineering. The only rookie on my crew, this crew, Pam Melroy. Colonel Pam Melroy, United States Air Force. Pam's from Rochester, New York. She has an undergrad from Wellesley College, graduate degree from MIT. She's an Air Force pilot. She's an Air Force test pilot. She's a combat pilot. She's an amazing lady. And Pam was the only rookie on this crew, which I'll mention again later, and then you'll see why. So we trained together for 2.5 years for this mission. It's a long time to train. And during that time, you get to be really close to each other, and you become a family. And we know each other's kids, we know the spouses. So we not only work together, but we play together. We found out we had the same sense of humor, like a lot of the same movies. Well, this is our official photo for the crew picture. This more accurately displays what we were like. In fact, we gained a reputation and became known as the evil crew. So at the end of that 2.5 years, though, it was, it's time for us to go do our thing. And people say, well, what's it like to get ready to launch? And I think it's a lot like an Olympic athlete, the same things that they feel, because they have to train for years and work up to the point where they get to go for the medal. Well, that's kind of what we're doing, and I would imagine a lot of the feelings that we have getting ready to go are similar to what an athlete has when they're doing that. And it would be same for somebody that maybe is training for a piano recital or a dance recital or other things, where everything builds up, all the training builds up to one big event. So here you see us heading out to the to the launch pad, and you can see a lot of smiles and a real optimistic outlook there. And we are so well trained here that when we leave and go out to the launch pad, we know that there isn't anything that can happen that we can handle that we're not ready to handle. So we understand we're ready to go. And the other reason might be that, you know, there's a million things can stop you from launching, a sensor, the weather, who knows what. So really the odds are when you go out to launch, you don't really think you're going anywhere. That's why we're not worried. You know, it all builds up. I get in the vehicle about 3 hours prior, and then they load us in one at a time. We do all our com checks. It's kind of fun in there that early on we have an intercom system. A lot of us talk to each other, and you know there might be some jokes flying around, or you know the chatter is pretty light. But as you get closer into launch, when you get to this point right here, it's all business. We're focused on what we're doing. So our challenge is to take this thing that is about the size of a 20-story building that weighs 5 million pounds. So we need to get it going 17,500 miles an hour, and we have to do that in 8.5 minutes. That's all the people we have in there. So it takes an awful lot of power to make all that happen. These solid rocket boosters on the side here, they provide the primary thrust to get us off the pad and up out of the atmosphere. They last for about 2 minutes. They burn for about 2 minutes, give us 5 million pounds of thrust. And after 2 minutes, they're jettisoned and fall back in the ocean. We actually reuse them. The 3 engines on the back of the space shuttle main engines, are burning liquid oxygen out of that part of the tank, and then liquid hydrogen out of the rest of the tank there as a fuel. To produce about 1.5 million pounds of thrust. So we're going first 2 minutes mainly on the boosters, the next 6.5 minutes riding the engines to get us going 26,000 feet per second, which is 17,500 miles an hour, more than 5 miles a second. So you have to make this building go really fast. And I've been Mach 2 in an F-15 many times, but you know, going Mach 25 is a lot cooler.